My mother-in-law called me a selfish little ATM in front of her whole family because I refused to pay $18,000 for her 30-year-old son's birthday party. We were standing in her living room in suburban Columbus, Ohio, the kind of room where every wall had a framed Bible verse and every couch pillow said something about family. The ceiling fan clicked above us like it was counting down to something ugly. A half-empty pot of burnt coffee sat in the kitchen, and the smell had soaked into the curtains. Linda, my husband's mother, pressed one hand to her chest like I had slapped her. "So this is who you married," she said to Evan, my husband. "A woman who can spend money on herself, but can't celebrate the man who gave her his last name." I stared at her. I had not bought myself a new coat in 2 winters. The boots on my feet were peeling at the heel. I had worked 12 hours that day as a cybersecurity analyst, skipped lunch to finish a client emergency, and eaten a protein bar in my car on the way over because Linda said this was a family meeting and Evan told me I had to show up. The family meeting turned out to be an ambush. Linda wanted a private ballroom downtown, a catered steak dinner, a bourbon tasting bar, a DJ, a photographer, a custom cake, and flowers for every table. For Evan's 30th birthday. Not a wedding. Not a medical fundraiser. A birthday party for a grown man who still brought his laundry to his mother's house when felt overwhelmed. $18,000 is insane, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Linda gave a dry laugh. Insane? For your husband? For my only son, what kind of wife counts dollars when her husband is being honored? Evan sat beside her on the couch, his elbows on his knees, staring at the carpet. He wore the navy sweater I had bought him for Christmas, the one he said was too expensive, until his mother complimented it. Then he wore it everywhere. "Evan," I said, "say something." He lifted his eyes, and I saw the answer before he opened his mouth. "Claire, it's my 30th, he said softly. "It only happens once." "So does losing your mind," I said. "That doesn't mean I should finance it." His sister, Megan, gasped from the love seat. "Wow. She really thinks she's better than us." Megan had 2 kids, a boyfriend who always had a new business idea and no income, and a habit of calling me only when something broke, leaked, expired, or needed a deposit. Her oldest was in soccer because I paid the registration. Her youngest was in piano because Linda said, "Music builds discipline," and Evan said we should help. I had also paid for winter coats, a dentist bill, a broken iPad screen, 3 school field trips, and a trampoline that somehow became an outdoor wellness activity. I turned toward her. "No, Megan. I think I'm tired." Linda's eyes sharpened. "Tired of what? Being part of a family? Tired of being treated like your bank account?" The room went still. Evan's uncle shifted in his recliner. A cousin stopped scrolling. Someone's kid in the hallway whispered, "Mom." Linda stood up slowly. She was 54, perfectly healthy, always manicured, always tired when there was work to do, always energized when there was a menu to approve. She walked toward me in her house slippers, chin lifted. "Let me tell you something, Claire," she said. "A real wife supports her husband. A real daughter-in-law understands sacrifice. I gave Evan everything. I raised him alone. I worked when I had nothing. I went without so he could have more." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because I had heard that speech so many times it had become the family anthem. Linda had sacrificed. Linda had suffered. Linda had earned the right to be rescued forever. The first time she asked me for money, Evan and I had been married for 4 months. "Claire, sweetheart," she said over the phone, her voice trembling, "I hate toast, but my blood pressure medication is more than I expected this month." It was $320. I paid it. She sent a heart emoji and called me an angel. Then came $1, $200 for a plumbing issue. Then $900 for a car repair. Then $2,700 because Megan's kids needed back-to-school supplies, sports fees, and a little dignity. Then $4,500 for Linda's dental work, even though Illiter saw her smiling with the same teeth in photos from a casino weekend in Indiana. Every time I hesitated, Evan looked wounded. My mom never asks unless she has to. But Linda always had to. By our 2nd anniversary, I was paying $2,400 every month toward Linda's rent, utilities, groceries, and basic needs. On top of that, emergencies appeared like storms. A broken furnace. A sick cousin. A funeral. A baby shower. A graduation. A weekend cabin because, after everything this family has been through, we deserve joy. I worked. Evan taught middle school history and made decent money, but somehow his money had to remain stable while mine was flexible. His paycheck went to our rent, his truck, his hobbies, and whatever he called mental breathing room. My paycheck became the family solution. When I got promoted, I told Evan first. I was shaking with excitement. I had worked nights, weekends, holidays, and I finally had a salary that could help us save for a house. He hugged me in the kitchen and said, "I'm so proud of you." The next morning, Linda called. "God opened a door for you," she said. "Now you can open doors for the family." I asked Evan how she knew. He said, "I told her." It's good news. Good news for everyone except me. For 3 years, I paid and swallowed resentment until it turned into something heavy and sour inside my chest. I told myself marriage meant compromise. I told myself Linda had a hard life. I told myself Megan's kids were innocent. I told myself Evan was sweet, just stuck between me and the woman who raised him. But that day, in Linda's living room, with everyone watching me like I was on trial for refusing to sponsor a grown man's birthday pageant, something finally cracked clean through. "I'm not paying for the party," I said. Linda stepped closer. "Then maybe you should take your money and leave," she snapped. "Evan can find a woman who knows how to be family." I looked at Evan. He looked down. That was the moment I understood I was not his wife in that room. I was the payment method that had stopped working. My hands were shaking, but my voice went calm. "You're right, Linda," I said. She blinked. "What?" I picked up my purse from the floor. "You're absolutely right. I'm going to take my money." Evan stood quickly. "Claire, don't start." But he was already opening my banking app. Right there, in front of his mother, his sister, his uncle, his cousins, and the kids pretending not to listen, it tapped into the auto-pay section. Linda's electric bill. Scheduled. Linda's rent transfer. Scheduled. Grocery delivery. Scheduled. Megan's kids' piano payment. Scheduled. Soccer league fee. Scheduled. Pharmacy reimbursement. Scheduled. Family phone plan. Scheduled. My thumb hovered over the screen. Evan's face changed. "Claire." I canceled the electric bill first. Linda made a sound like a wounded animal. I canceled the rent transfer. Megan shot to her feet. "You can't just do that." I canceled the grocery delivery. Watch me, I thought. One by one, I removed every payment that had been quietly bleeding me dry. Nobody spoke for a few seconds. They just watched my finger move. For once, my silence was not weakness. It was a door closing. Then my phone buzzed. A notification slid across the top off the screen. Final authorization received, Lakeside Grand Ballroom. $18,000 deposit pending. Card ending 4492. I froze. I did not recognize the card. I looked up at Evan. His face had gone white. Linda's eyes flickered toward him, just for half a second, but it was enough. My stomach dropped. "Evan," I said slowly, "what card is ending in 4492? He opened his mouth. No sound came out. The room seemed to tilt around me. I looked back at my phone and tapped the notification. The bank app opened to a credit account in my name. A credit account I had never opened. And beneath the pending charge, in clean digital letters, it said, "Authorized user, Evan Miller." The next morning, I sat in my car outside the bank for 17 minutes before I could make myself go inside. The building looked ordinary. Glass doors, gray carpet, polite employees, a little bowl of mints near the reception desk. It felt wrong that something so violating could be handled under fluorescent lights by a woman in a navy blazer asking if I wanted water. I did not want water. I wanted to know how a credit card existed under my social security number without my knowledge. The banker, a patient woman named Denise, pulled up the account and frowned deeper with each click. "This application was submitted online 6 months ago," she said. 6 months? Yes. The primary account holder is you. Authorized user is Evan Miller. My husband. She looked up at me. "Did you authorize him to be added?" She clicked again. "The contact email is not yours." She turned the monitor slightly so I could see. It was Evan's email. I felt a cold line run down my spine. "And the mailing address?" I asked. She hesitated. "It went to an address on Maple Hollow Drive. Linda's house." For a moment, all I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. That card had been opened in my name, mailed to my mother-in-law's house, and used behind my back. I had been paying their bills openly, and they still stole a hidden door into microdit. Denise lowered her voice. "Mrs. Miller, I need to ask this carefully. Do you want to report this as unauthorized?" I thought of Evan on the couch. His eyes on the carpet. His mother calling Mezzelfish. The $18,000 ballroom charge. "Yes," I said. "I want to report it." By noon, the card was frozen, the charge was flagged, my credit file was locked, and I had an appointment with a lawyer named Tasha Bennett, who listened without interrupting and took notes with the calm of a woman who had seen every version of betrayal and still believed in paperwork. When I finished, she leaned back. "Claire, this is not just a bad marriage, this is financial abuse. Potential identity theft. Potential fraud." Hearing those words out loud made my throat tighten. I feel stupid, I whispered. You were married, she said. You trusted your husband. That is not stupidity. That is what marriage is supposed to allow. I wanted to cry then, but I did not. I had wasted too many tears on people who treated them like receipts. Tasha gave me a list. Open a new bank account. Move my direct deposit. Freeze all credit reports. Pull statements. Save every message. Do not warn Evan beyond what was necessary. Do not meet his family alone. Do not agree to pay anything. Do not let guilt negotiate with facts. That last one stayed with me. Do not let guilt negotiate with facts. When I got home, Evan was in the kitchen. He had made pasta, which he only did when he wanted to look tender. The table was set. A candle burned in the center. My favorite sparkling water sat beside my plate. For 3 years, gestures like that had disarmed me. Not that night. He turned when I walked in. Can we talk? About the card? His face fell. So you went to the bank? Yes. He rubbed his forehead. Claire, you know how it looks. How it looks? I set my purse on the counter. It looks like you used my social security number to open a credit card, sent it to your mother's house, put yourself on it, and tried to charge $18,000 for a birthday party after I said no. It wasn't like that. Then explain what it was like. He looked toward the hallway, as if searching for an exit inside his own apartment. Mom said you were stressed about money and that if the card was in your name, we could get better points. She said you'd calm down once you saw how happy everyone was. I stared at him. Your mother said. I didn't think of it as stealing. What did you think of it as? He swallowed. Family. I laughed once, sharp and humorless, that word. Always that word. Family, the magic blanket they threw over every bad thing. Family meant I paid bills nobody thanked me for. Family meant Linda cried and Evan obeyed. Family meant Megan's kids needed lessons, Evan needed celebration, Lynn gained comfort, and I needed to stop being dramatic. Family meant my no was a suggestion until they found a way around it. No, I said. That was not family. That was fraud. His eyes flashed. Are you seriously going to make me a criminal? You did that without my help. Claire, please. If you report this, it could affect my job. You teach 12-year-olds about the Constitution. That's not fair. Neither is stealing your wife's identity. He stepped toward me. I stepped back. For the first time, I saw something in his face I had spent years refusing to name. Not sweetness. Not softness. Cowardice dressed as sensitivity. He had let his mother control him because it was easier than becoming a man who could disappoint her. His voice lowered. Mom is devastated. Good. He flinched. She said you humiliated her. She tried to rob me in front of witnesses. She's my mother. And I'm your wife. He said nothing. There it was again. That silence. The same silence from Linda's living room. The same silence that had taught me everything I needed to know. I walked to the bedroom and took a suitcase from the closet. Evan followed me. What are you doing? Packing. You can't just leave. I can. Over money? I turned so fast he stopped moving. No, Evan. Over betrayal. Over 3 years off being drained. Over watching you hand my life to your mother in pieces and then act surprised when I bled. His mouth trembled. You're being cold. No, I said. I'm being awake. I left that night with 2 suitcases, my laptop, my passport, and a folder of documents. I checked into a hotel near my office. The room smelled like lemon cleaner and cheap carpet. It was not home. But it was quiet. Quiet felt holy. The calls started at 6:12 the next morning. Linda. Megan. Evan. Linda again. Unknown number. Evan again. Megan sent a message first. You need to fix this. Mom hasn't slept. The Venuius calling. The kids are asking why Aunt Claire hates us. I stared at the words Aunt Claire until my eyes burned. Megan only called me Aunt when she wanted money. On Christmas, I was Claire. On birthdays, I was Claire. When a bill was due, I was Aunt Claire with a moral obligation. I did not reply. Evan texted next. Please don't blow up my life because you're mad. Then Linda. I hope you are proud of yourself. You broke my son's heart on his birthday week. I blocked her. Then I unblocked her, took screenshots of everything, and blocked her again after sending one reply. Do not contact me except through my attorney. The word attorney changed the temperature. For 4 hours, no one messaged. Then Evan sent one line. You got a lawyer? I answered, yes. He called immediately. I declined. He called 9 more times. I declined each one. That afternoon, I went back to the apartment while Evan was at school and packed the rest of my essentials. I moved my work setup, jewelry, financial documents, and the wooden box where I kept old birthday cards from my dad, who had died when I was 22. Evan had never touched that box. Maybe he knew there were some places even weak men should not reach. On the kitchen counter, I left my wedding ring. Not dramatically. Not in a glass of water or beside a note. Just there, on the white laminate, small and final. Then I opened my laptop at the hotel and started building a spreadsheet. Every transfer. Every bill. Every emergency. Every temporary loan. Every payment I had made to Linda, Megan, Evan's cousins, and even one of Linda's church friends whose car repair had somehow become my responsibility. $92,614. I checked the number 3 times. Then I checked it again. $92,614 in 3 years. That did not include dinners, gifts, gas, random cash, or the emotional cost of being shamed every time I asked a question. I stared at the total until the screen blurred. With that money, I could have had a down payment. I could have finished my master's. I could have taken my dad's ashes to the Oregon coast like he had asked before cancer made travel impossible. Instead, I had financed Linda's comfort and Evan's cowardice. The next day, Tasha filed for divorce and advised me to keep the fraud report moving. People like this count on embarrassment, she said. They want you too ashamed to call it what it is. I'm not embarrassed anymore, I said. I meant it almost. By Friday, the birthday party had become the family war zone. I knew because Megan accidentally added me to a group text she had renamed Evan 30 Emergency. I was about to remove myself when the messages started coming in so fast I could barely read them. Aunt Carol, is Claire still paying or not? Megan, she's being psycho. She froze the card. Linda, after everything my son did for her, she wants to destroy him. Cousin Tyler, didn't she always pay? Megan, yes, but now she's acting poor. Linda, she has money. She just wants power. Then came a message from Evan. Stop texting about her here. She might still be in this chat. For 11 seconds, no one replied. Then Linda wrote, let her read it. Maybe she'll remember her place. I took screenshots, then another message appeared from a number I did not know. This is Tyler. I'm sorry. You need to know something. They're not just trying to save the party. A chill spread through my hands. Another screenshot came through privately. It was from a different group chat, one I had never seen. Linda, once she calms down, Evan needs to get her to sign the house paperwork. Public pressure works on women like her. Megan, do it at the party. Announce it like a surprise. Evan, she won't sign if she sees numbers first. Linda, then don't show her numbers first. Tell her it's for family stability. Megan, mom deserves a house after raising everyone. Linda, Claire can afford it. She just needs to be handled right. My breath stopped. House paperwork. I called Tasha so fast I hit the wrong contact twice. She told me to forward everything. Then she made a call. Then another. By 5 p.m., we had the answer. A mortgage broker had received an inquiry 2 weeks earlier for a $410,000 home loan. The proposed buyer was Linda Miller. The co-borrower listed was me. Attached documents included my W-2, my pay stubs, and a copy of my driver's license. Documents that had been in the locked filing drawer at our apartment. The same drawer Evan had access to. The $18,000 party was not the end. It was the istage. They planned to corner me in front of 60 relatives, praise Linda's sacrifice, announce that I was helping buy her a house, and push me to sign paperwork before I could ask questions. If I refused, I would be the monster. If I agreed, I would be trapped under a mortgage for a house I would never live in. I sat on the hotel bed with my phone in my hand, unable to move. For 3 years, I thought they had been slowly taking money. I was wrong. They had been studying me. They knew what guilt did to me. They knew I hated scenes. They knew I wanted to be kind. They knew I would rather hurt privately than embarrass someone publicly. So they built a trap out of my best qualities. That night, Evan came to the hotel. I had not told him where I was staying, but he found me anyway. The front desk called to say my husband was in the lobby. I almost told them to send him away. Then I thought of the screenshots. I went down with my phone recording in my coat pocket. He looked terrible. Unshaven, eyes red, shirt wrinkled. A year earlier, that would have softened me. I would have seen the boy Linda raised alone. I would have seen the husband who kissed my forehead when I had migraines. I would have seen the man I wanted him to be. Now I saw the man who stole my documents. Claire, he said. Please. Can we talk somewhere private? He looked around the lobby. People can hear. Then speak carefully. He lowered his voice. I know you're angry. I know the card was a mistake. The card, the mortgage. The stolen documents. Which mistake are we discussing? His face drained. How did you know about that? There it was. Not denial. Fear. I almost smiled. Someone in your family has a conscience. He looked toward the hotel doors. My mom got ahead of herself. I stared at him in disbelief. Your mom stole my financial documents? I brought them to her, but she didn't understand what she was doing. She understood enough to send them to a broker. Claire, she's scared. She's getting older. Rent keeps going up. She feels unstable. She feels unstable, so I get a mortgage? It was going to be presented as an option. At your birthday party? His jaw tightened. You always make everything sound ugly. No. I finally stopped making ugly things sound normal. He rubbed both hands over his face. Okay. Fine. It went too far. Beaut, if you file charges, my career is over. Mom could lose everything. Megan's kids will suffer. Is that what you want? There it was again. The human shield. The kids. The mother. The family. The guilt. I leaned closer. You should have thought about Megan's kids before you taught them that love means using people. His eyes hardened. For the first time, the soft mask slipped completely. You think you're untouchable because you make more money than us. No, I said. I think I'm protected because I kept receipts. He stared at me. Then I said the thing that made him finally look afraid. Enjoy your party tomorrow. He blinked. What does that mean? It means I'll see you there. Saturday night, Lakeside Grand Ballroom glowed like a place built for people who confused debt with luxury. Glass doors. Valet parking, white roses and tall vases. A gold sign near the entrance read, Happy 30th Evan. Under it, in smaller script, hosted with love by the Miller family. I laughed when I saw that. Hosted with love. Not hosted with honesty. Not hosted with permission. Not hosted with money they actually had. Love, always the cheapest word in the room. I wore a black dress, a wool coat, and the necklace my father gave me the year before he died. Tasha walked beside me in a tailored gray suit, carrying a leather folder. Behind us came Denise from the bank, not as a banker that night, but as a witness willing to provide an authorized statement. Tyler met us near the entrance, pale and nervous. I'm sorry, he whispered. You already helped, I said. Inside, the ballroom was half full. Linda had somehow kept the party alive by switching the menu from steak to pasta, cutting the bourbon bar, and collecting emergency contributions from relatives she had told a different story to. That was the first surprise I learned that night. Aunt Carol had given Linda $1,500 because Linda said I had locked all the accounts and Evan might lose his job. Uncle Ray had given $800 because Linda said she needed to keep the deposit from becoming a lawsuit. Megan's boyfriend had given $300 in cash and complained loudly near the bar that he didn't even like Evan that much. Linda had been taking money from everyone while telling everyone I had ruined everything. Double dipping, Tasha called it. I called it Linda. When I walked in, conversations bent around me. Heads turned. Megan's mouth fell open. Linda stood near the cake in an emerald dress, pearls at her throat, looking like a queen who had just spotted a servant using the front door. Evan saw me from across the room. For a second, relief crossed his face. He thought I had comatose surrender. That almost made me sad. Almost. Linda came toward me with a smile so sharp it could cut fruit. Well, she said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, look who decided to show up. Megan folded her arms behind her. Did you come to apologize? I looked around at the guests. Relatives. Neighbors. Linda's church friends. Evan's coworkers, people who had probably heard I was cruel, greedy, unstable, dramatic, maybe all of the above. I smiled. No. I came because Linda wanted this handled in front of family. Linda's face tightened. Evan moved quickly toward us. Claire, not here. Why not here? I asked. This is where you plan to do it. His eyes darted to Tasha. Who-ish? My attorney. That word moved through the room like someone had dropped a glass. Linda's smile vanished. Attorney, she said. At my son's birthday? At the party you tried to pay for with a credit card opened in my name without my permission. The room went silent. A man near the bar muttered, What? Linda laughed too loudly. Oh, please. She's making things up because she's embarrassed. Tasha opened her folder. I would be very careful about what you say next, Mrs. Miller. Linda looked at her like she had just been insulted by furniture. And who are you? Tasha Bennett. I represent Claire. Evan stepped between us. Claire, we can talk after. No, I said. You wanted witnesses. We have witnesses. Linda's church friend, a woman with silver hair and kind eyes, leaned toward Aunt Carol. What credit card? I looked at Evan. Do you want to explain, or should I? His mouth opened. Closed. Linda snapped, there is nothing to explain. Married people share finances. We did not share that card, I said. I did not apply for it. I did not receive it. I did not authorize Evan as a user. It was mailed to your house. Aunt Carol turned slowly toward Linda. Linda? Linda's face flushed. She was going to pay anyway. She always does. She just needed a little push. That sentence did more damage than anything I could have said. Even Megan looked at her mother. Mom. But Linda was too angry to notice she had confessed. She came into this family acting like she was better than us, Linda said, pointing at me. Always with her job, her savings, her little spreadsheets. Family is not a spreadsheet. No, I said. But theft is still math. A few people gasped. Tasha handed Evan an envelope. He did not take it at first. Take it, she said. He did. What is this? He asked. Divorce filing, I said. And notice to preserve documents related to financial fraud. His hand shook. Linda lunged toward him. Don't sign anything. I laughed softly. For once, Linda, that is excellent advice. Evan looked at me with wet eyes. You're really doing this? You did this. Then I turned toward the room. I know many of you were told I abandoned Evan. I know you were told I refused to help Linda. I know some of you were told I froze accounts, ruined this party, and tried to destroy this family. Linda hissed, stop. I continued. In 3 years, I paid $92,614 to support this family. Megan's boyfriend coughed. Uncle Ray said, what? I opened my phone and held it up, not for drama, but because I had no reason to hide anymore. Rent, utilities, groceries, phone bills, school fees, sports fees, dental bills, car repairs, funeral expenses, medical reimbursements. Emergency cash. More than $92,000. Aunt Carol covered her mouth. Linda's church friend whispered, Linda, you told us Claire barely helped. And there it was. The second surprise of the night. Linda had not just taken from me. She had erased me. She had accepted my money, lived on it, bragged behind my back, and then told everyone I was selfish so they would never question why I looked exhausted at every gathering. Megan's face had gone pale. I didn't know it was that much, she said quietly. I looked at her. You didn't ask. Her eyes filled. For a second, I saw the scared younger sister beneath the entitlement. Then she looked at Linda, and the scared girl disappeared into habit. Mom said you wanted to help. I wanted to be loved, I said. I mistook the two. No one spoke. Then Tyler stepped forward. I sent Claire the screenshots. Linda spun toward him. You little snake. He flinched but did not back down. No, Aunt Linda. I'm done watching you do this to people. The room shifted again. Linda's face twisted. Do what? Tyler pulled out his phone. Tell people they owe you because you suffered. You did it to Uncle Mark before he moved to Arizona. You did it to Grandma before she passed. You did it to Evan his whole life. And now you did it to Claire. Evan looked like someone had hit him. Tyler, shut up, he said. No, Tyler said. You shut up. You knew. That was the third surprise. Not that Evan knew. I already knew that. The surprise was hearing someone from his family say it out loud. Evan's shoulders sagged. Linda turned to him. Don't you dare stand there looking guilty. I did everything for you. That sentence cracked something in him. I saw it happen. A tiny fracture in the wall Linda had built inside his spine. You told me she'd forgive me, he said. Linda's eyes widened. Evan. You told me if we got her in front of everybody, she'd say yes because she hates conflict. The room froze. He kept going, voice shaking. You told me she needed to learn that marriage means sharing everything. Linda slapped him. Not hard enough to injure him, but hard enough to silence the room. He touched his cheek like a child. I should have felt vindicated. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. Deeply, brutally tired, because there was no joy in watching a weak man realize he had helped his mother rob the only person who was trying to build a life with him. But there was satisfaction in not rescuing him from the consequences. A security guard appeared near the entrance. The ballroom manager stood behind him, looking deeply uncomfortable. Mrs. Miller, he said. Linda snapped, which one? He glanced at his clipboard. Linda Miller. We need to speak about the remaining balance. Linda's face changed again. What remaining balance? The emergency contributions covered part of the catering adjustment, but the original card payment was reversed due to a fraud hold. The remaining balance is due tonight. Aunt Carol turned sharply. Original card payment? Uncle Ray said, you told us Claire paid and then took it back. Linda stammered. She did. No, Tasha said calmly. The card issuer reversed an unauthorized pending charge. Claire did not agree to pay for this event. Megan's boyfriend laughed once, then stopped when Megan elbowed him. The manager cleared his throat. If payment is not resolved, we'll need to end service. Linda looked around the room, suddenly smaller. Evan, she whispered. Evan stared at the envelope in his hand. For the first time since he had known him, he did not move when she called. The DJ stopped the music. A server quietly removed a tray of appetizers from the buffet. Guests began whispering, pulling out phones, gathering purses. The glamorous birthday party Linda had demanded began collapsing, not with an explosion, but with the awkward silence of people realizing they had been invited into someone else's lie. I walked past Evan toward the door. He grabbed my wrist, not violently, but desperately. "Claire," he whispered, "please don't leave like this." I looked down at his hand until he let go. "How should I leave, Evan?" Quietly? Grateful? Empty? His eyes filled. "I loved you." "I know," I said. And that was the saddest part. He had loved me as much as he was capable of loving anyone without disappointing his mother, but that kind of love is not shelter. It is weather. You can survive it for a while, but eventually you get tired of being cold. I left before the cake was cut. Behind me, Linda was arguing with the manager. Megan was crying. Aunt Carol was demanding her money back. Evan stood in the middle of the room with divorce papers in one hand and his mother's red mark in his cheek. Outside, snow had started falling. Small white flakes drifted under the parking lot lights. I stood there for a moment, breathing in the cold air, and realized my hands were no longer shaking. For the first time in 3 years, nobody in that building had access to my money. For the first time in 3 years, nobody in that building had access to me. The months after that night were not clean or easy. People love revenge stories because they imagine one grand scene fixes everything. A speech, a reveal, a do or slam, and then the victim walks into sunlight completely healed. That isn't how it works. After the ballroom, there were lawyers, statements, credit freezes, certified letters, angry voicemails, and nights when I woke at 3 a.m. convinced I had ruined my own life by finally protecting it. Evan sent emails because I had blocked his number. At first, they were defensive. "You embarrass me in front of everyone." Then pleading. "Please don't push the fraud report. I can lose Millicent's." Then sentimental. "I keep thinking about our first apartment and how happy we were." Then cruel. "You care more about revenge than marriage." I forwarded every message to Tasha and replied to none. Linda tried different numbers. Church friends. Cousins. Megan's phone. Even a fake Facebook account with a profile picture of a golden retriever. Her messages all sounded different but meant the same thing. "You owe us. You hurt us. You made us desperate. You should feel guilty." One message came through from an unknown email address at 1:47 a.m. A good woman would have handled this privately. I stared at that line for a long time. Then I typed a reply I never sent. A good family would have never forced me to handle it publicly. I deleted it. Silence became my best answer. The fraud investigation found enough evidence to remove the unauthorized card from my credit report. Evan admitted in writing that he had submitted my information with the expectation of marital consent, which Tasha said was one of the stupidest sentences she had ever seen from a man trying not to confess. The mortgage inquiry died before it became an application, but the broker confirmed my documents had been submitted without my permission. Evan said Linda misunderstood. Linda said Evan handled the technology. Megan said she knew nothing, which was half true in the way people know nothing when knowing would cost them comfort. In the divorce mediation, Evan looked thinner. He wore a suit that did not fit and kept glancing at the door like Linda might walk in and tell him what to feel. She did not come. Tasha had made sure she could not. The mediator asked if reconciliation was possible. Evan looked at me. I looked at the table. "No," I said. One word. No shaking. No apology attached. Evan Sayes reddened. "Claire, I'm in therapy now. I hope it helps. I told my mom she can't control me anymore. I hope that stays true. We could start over." I looked at him then. Really looked at him. There had been a time when I would have given anything to hear those words. I wanted him to choose me at Thanksgiving when Linda mocked my cooking. I wanted him to choose me when Megan demanded money for piano lessons. I wanted him to choose me on ordinary Tuesdays when I came home exhausted and he asked why dinner was late. I wanted him to choose me before I had to become dangerous to be heard. "You don't get credit for closing the door after the house is already robbed," I said. He flinched. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. I got my name back. Claire Bennett. I had not realized how heavy Miller felt until it was gone. Linda did not go to jail. I know some people wanted that ending when they heard the story later. A courtroom. Handcuffs. A dramatic sentence. Real life gave her something slower. Consequences. The credit card company pursued repayment from Evan for charges that had gone through before the freeze. The venue sent Linda to collections for the balance she had promised and failed to pay. Aunt Carol demanded her $1,500 back and told half the church what happened when Linda called her ungrateful. Uncle Ray stopped fixing Linda's car for free. Megan pulled her kids out of piano and soccer and got a weekend job at a grocery store. Linda had to work too. The first time I saw her after the divorce, she was pushing a cleaning cart through an office building downtown. I was there for a client meeting. I stepped out of the elevator with two coworkers, holding a laptop bag and a coffee. Linda came around the corner in a gray uniform, yellow gloves tucked into her back pocket. We both stopped for a second. I saw her pride wrestle with her hatred. She looked older. Not ruined. Not sick. Just older in the way people age when other people stop carrying them. My coworker asked, "Do you know her?" I said, "I used to." Linda's mouth tightened. I nodded once and walked past. My heart pounded all the way to the conference room, but not because I wanted revenge. Because some old part of me still expected lightning to strike when I failed to comfort someone who had hurt me. Nothing happened. The world did not end because I let Linda carry her own life. A few weeks later, Megan emailed me. The subject line was sorry. I almost deleted it. Then I opened it. She did not ask for money. That was the only reason I kept reading. She wrote that she had been angry at me because it was easier than being angry at her mother. She wrote that she had believed Linda when Linda said I liked being needed. She wrote that after the ballroom, Aunt Carol showed her old messages from years before, messages where Linda had done the same thing to another relative. Different amounts. Same guilt. Then Megan wrote one sentence that sat in my chest for a long time. "I think I learned how to be helpless because Mom rewarded it." I did not forgive her immediately. Forgiveness is not a coupon people can redeem because they finally understand something. But I replied, "I hope you build a better life for your kids than the one you were taught." She wrote back, "I'm trying." That was enough. Evan's life got smaller after the divorce. Not because I wanted it to, but because without my money, the illusion collapsed. He moved back into Linda's house for a while. Then, according to Tyler, he moved into a studio apartment near his school and started therapy for real. He sold his truck. He stopped speaking to Linda for 6 months after she tried to use his teacher credit union account to cover her collections payment. That last part almost made me laugh. Almost. A year after I left, I bought my first condo. Not a mansion. Not a dream house with marble counters and a lake view. Just a 2-bedroom condo on the 5th floor off a brick building with big windows, a tiny balcony, and enough sunlight in the morning to make the hardwood floors glow. The day I got the keys, I sat on the floor because I did not have a couch yet. I ate takeout Thai food from a cardboard container and drank cheap champagne from a coffee mug. My phone stayed quiet. No one asked for a transfer. No one called with an emergency. No one told me I was selfish for wanting to breathe. I cried harder than I had cried during the divorce. Not because I missed Evan. Because I missed the woman I had been before I learned to shrink. I cried for the nights I said yes while my stomach screamed no. I cried for every lunch I skipped while paying for Linda's groceries. I cried for the version of me who believed being chosen meant being useful. I cried for my father, who once told me, "Baby, don't confuse kindness with surrender," and I had nodded like I understood. I understood now. Healing Cammy in ordinary things. Buying strawberries without checking if Linda's electric bill had cleared. Replacing my old boots. Taking a Saturday morning pottery class. Saying no to a coworker who wanted me to cover her weekend shift and realizing no police came for me. Taking my dad's ashes to the Oregon coast. That trip nearly broke me open. I stood on a gray beach near Cannon Beach with the wind whipping my hair across me face. My dad had always wanted to see the Pacific Northwest. He used to show me pictures of foggy cliffs and say, "One day, kiddo." I had put it off for years because there was always another Miller emergency. Linda's furnace. Megan's school fees. Evan's birthday. Someone else's need had always been standing between me and my own grief. I scattered a small portion of his ashes near the water and whispered, "I'm sorry it took me so long." The ocean answered with a wave over my shoes. I laughed and cried at the same time. 6 months after that, I met Daniel at a cybersecurity conference in Denver. He was not dramatic. That was the first thing I liked about him. He did not perform kindness. He practiced it quietly. He asked questions and listened to the answers. When I told him I was divorced, he did not ask what I had done wrong. He asked if he was safe now. Safe now. 2 words, and somehow they reached a place in me that romance never had. We became friends first. Then something warmer. On our 5th date, the check came after dinner and he placed his card beside mine. "We can't split," he said. I stared at the little black folder on the table. He noticed. "Is that okay?" I laughed softly. "Yes. It's just, thank you for not making money weird." His expression changed, not with pity, but with understanding. "Money gets weird when people use it to measure love," he said. I looked out the restaurant window at the city lights and thought of Linda's living room. Evan's lowered head. The $18,000 notification. The ballroom. The folder. The snow. "It does," I said. "Daniel never asked me to save him." That sounds simple until you have been loved by people who handed you buckets and called every fire a family obligation. He had his own life. His own bills. His own boundaries. When his sister asked him for a large loan, he told her he could help her make a budget, but he would not become her emergency fund. Then he told me about it before it became a secret. I nearly cried over that too. Transparency felt more intimate than roses. 2 years after the ballroom, I received a letter from Evan. A real letter. Paper, blue ink. No email, no texts, no late-night manipulation. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. He wrote that therapy had helped him understand something ugly. He had used his softness to avoid responsibility. He had let me be the villain because it kept him from confronting his mother. He admitted he knew I was exhausted. He admitted he heard Linda insult me. He admitted the credit card was not a misunderstanding. He admitted he had been afraid of losing me and still more afraid of upsetting Linda. Then he wrote, "I do not expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say you were right to leave. I hope your life is peaceful." I sat with that letter for a long time. Then I put it in a drawer. Not the drawer with my father's cards. A different one. Some apologies deserve acknowledgement. Not access. I never heard from Linda directly again. I heard stories, because stories travel. She bounced between jobs. She blamed me for her blood pressure, the collections calls, Evan's distance, Megan's new boundaries, and probably the weather. She told church friends I had destroyed her family with legal threats. But fewer people listened after Aunt Carol started carrying screenshots in her purse like Holy Scripture. Megan eventually became a medical billing assistant. Her kids went back to soccer through a community program she paid for herself. One afternoon, she sent me a picture of them in muddy uniforms, both grinning. She wrote, "Paid the registration myself this time. Feels weirdly good." I replied, "It should, that was the closest thing to peace we ever built." On the 3rd anniversary of the ballroom party, I hosted my own birthday dinner. Not for Evan. Not for a man. Not for revenge. For me. I turned 33 that winter. Daniel helped me cook. A few friends came over. Tyler came too, because truth creates strange alliances. Megan sent flowers but did not come, which I respected. Wheat pasta, roasted vegetables, chocolate cake, and strawberries I bought without guilt. At some point, someone asked for the story of the famous birthday party. I told a shorter version than the one I am telling now. Everyone laughed at the part where Linda's own words exposed her. They gasped at the mortgage scheme. They toasted when I said I left before the cake was cut. But later, after everyone went home, I stood on my balcony wrapped in a blanket, looking at the lights in the windows across the street. Daniel came outside and handed me a mug of tea. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "I was just thinking about something Linda said." He waited. "She told me to take my money and leave." Daniel smiled a little. "Best advice she ever gave you." I laughed. It was true. Linda thought she was insulting. She thought money was the thing that made me useful, the thing she could shame me with, the thing Evan could access because marriage had blurred the edges of ownership. But my money was never just money. It was my hours. My body sitting at a desk until midnight. My weekends lost to emergency calls. My father's coast trip delayed. My future home postponed. My peace traded for someone else's comfort. When I took my money, I took back the life attached to it. I took back mornings without dread. I took back no. I took back yes. I took back the right to help because I choose to, not because someone traps me under the word family. People sometimes ask if I regret exposing them publicly. I regret that I ever had to. I regret that the man I married would rather steal my documents than disappoint his mother. I regret that I spent 3 years trying to earn love from people who had already decided my role. I regret every time I apologized for needing rest. But I do not regret leaving. I do not regret the frozen card, the cancelled payments, the lawyer, the divorce, the silence, or the way Linda's ballroom collapsed under the weight of its own lies. Because some families do not hug you. They invoice you. They smile while you pay. They cry when you stop. They call your boundaries cruelty because your exhaustion was their lifestyle. And when you finally close the account, you learn something painful and freeing. The people who loved you will miss your heart. The people who used you will miss your money. And for the first time in your life, you will know the difference.